Bum 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 bum.
Katie.
Matty. Matty.
Katie.
Bum bum
Katie cat.
bum bum
Matty rat.
bum bum.
Crime Shack.
What's up, you sussy busters?
It's Katie Catherine, aka Little KKP, aka KKP, aka Katie Catherine Pruitt.
And it's Matty Rat. I'm comparable to a raccoon that's sifting through your garbage cans that just found your lost middle child.
Right, and today we're talking about
O.J. Simpson!
So, O.J. Simpson,
Great football player, right?
fabulous football player. Who did he play for again?
He played for the Buffalo Bills and my San Francisco 49ers.
How's that loss feeling?
Why, you little... Okay. I'm sorry.
It's fine. Let's
good?
just talk about this
Okay.
case.
So, O.J. Simpson, great football player, you know, went to a community college in California, then transferred to USC, where he was just dominant. Got drafted to the Buffalo Bills, played there for a while, played in San Francisco. And then he possibly did some not so nice things that ended his football career.
So that's supposed to be.
Well, O.J. Simpson and his wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, they went through a little bit of a rocky time in their relationship and things kind of broke off.
Understandable.
She was at a bar with her friend, Ronald Goodman.
Spicy.
Goldman.
Ah.
O.J. was at the bar at the same time, and it just so happens that both of them turn up dead. It's reasonable suspicion for these cops to assume that O.J. did it.
Right.
However, there is no flat-out evidence that he did it.
Really?
None. He went to trial that same year, and
And what year is this? You just cut it.
1994.
Ah.
I believe it was 1994, yes. And when this went to trial, O.J. Simpson had the most elite team of defense lawyers that the world had ever seen. This was like one of the first televised trials ever.
So this was like big. This is like major.
Huge. It's still to this day. I would say Johnny Depp outnumbered it, but until then, this was the most watched trial.
Wow, that's really crazy.
Yes, it absolutely was. But back to his defense lawyers, they were so good that they were called by everybody. They were regarded by everybody as the dream team because they were just that good. So they go to trial, you know, obviously O.J. probably shouldn't have won this.
And why do you think that?
Well, you look at the evidence. O.J. Simpson was at the bar the same time his ex-wife was murdered at the same bar with another man. I mean, it seems pretty obvious. And then he jumps in his white Bronco and runs across the country away from police. Why would you do that if you didn't have a guilty conscience?
Right. Yeah.
Why? And then, when he's taken to trial, there were these gloves that were found at the scene of the crime.
See, I'd heard about that, but I never knew what they were.
They were just leather gloves, and that's all they were. And O.J. put them on at the questioning of his defense lawyers. And to me, if you look at the picture, the glove looks like it fits. I mean, it doesn't look too
Yeah, I mean, I've seen
unreasonable.
like clips on like popular website TikTok.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look unreasonable at all.
I would.
But this is where the quote, the very popular quote, came from. If it doesn't fit, you must acquit.
I have heard that.
Yes. And essentially, because his defense lawyers came up with this, he was let go. He was acquitted.
So would you say that quote is one of the biggest ties to him being found not guilty?
I would say that is the biggest point of the trial, because the jury clearly thought by looking at these gloves that they did not fit OJ, and that's all that there is to say.
So you've got OJ.
Yes.
Goes to a bar. His wife and another male is there, and then found dead.
Yes.
And he was still found not guilty.
Yes.
With the gloves that fit him?
Yeah, well, fit him or not is up to interpretation. I mean, there's about 2 inches at the end of the finger, you know?
Yeah.
But it's... Why would you wear a glove that specifically fits your hand to commit a murder?
Right.
And why would you
No
run
one's
away
really
from the
thinking
police?
about that.
Why would you run away from the police?
No.
You wouldn't. If you weren't guilty, let them take you in and just prove that you're not guilty.
So do we think that maybe his experience as a pro football player may have had something to do with the decision of the case?
I definitely think it could. You know, if you look at this famous football player compared to these 2 nobodies who died, you know, nobody knew him. People knew Nicole as OJ's wife, but other than that, nobody knew her. And nobody knew Ronald Goldman until he died. So I do think that it could have had some impact on the case. And if you think about it, his time as a pro football player could have even affected if he did murder them or not, because, you know, CTE, all that brain injury that you face as a football player, that can take a toll on somebody. Create some violent tendencies.
So after the case, whatever happens to OJ, you plan whatever.
OJ's career was over, but because, you know, they didn't want this.
Big case
The
like that.
NFL didn't want this anywhere near their league. I think he came back as a sports analysis guy and kind of an announcer for several years in college and I think a couple NFL games. But his career was mainly over. I mean, you know, NFL player. He had enough money to piled up to stand forever. But
you think if you started right now,
yeah,
you could read, and did nothing but read, you could read all these books before you died?
I don't think so. I sleep too much for that.
essentially.
If you were locked in this room and they wouldn't let you out until you read every book in here, how long do you think it would take you to get out?
We're recording.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Also, after the case, he chose this just absolutely arrogant path of writing a book called If I Did It, Here's How, where he outlined precisely how he would have murdered Nicole and Ross.
Even close to how the investigators thought it would be?
Well, I mean, it was pretty much spot on, you know, stabbing to death. They were stabbed
Never
to
went to
death.
retrial, never anything like that?
Well,
Never later convicted?
you know that double jeopardy can't be tried twice for the same crime, even if you admit to it. So that was pretty much dead in the water. But the estate of Nicole did sue OJ, you know, in a civil suit, and he had to pay up. But, you know, the time in jail he would have got for 2 murders compared to paying $1 million. I mean, that's not even a dent in his bank account. You know that.
Do we think justice was served in the end?
We may never know. Because we don't know if OJ did it. Think back then, 1994, they didn't have security cameras everywhere.
Right, because it's like early 90s.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
don't care about that.
Look in this room that we're in right now. 1, 2, 3 cameras right there. But if you look at the outside of this bar, I mean, nothing. Nothing, absolutely nothing. So there was nothing for them to pull back. There was nothing for them to check. They had to try to run through this trial open-minded and look at all of this evidence without anything concrete. Anything concrete.
All right, Ghosts and Goblins, that's all we've got for you.
Well, we'll see you next time on the Katie Cat
Matty Rat.
Crime Show.